Well, good day. Kathleen Caldwell here, founder of C-Suite Networks, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. We are so excited today. We have the guest speaker of our dreams here. And so we say greetings to each of you who are here, and we say big hugs and hearts and lots of goodness to everyone watching our rebroadcast and the replay. We are so excited. We're over 50,000 clicks and views of our programs. And so we're so grateful for that. The ripple effect of all of this goodness is we're feeling it, and we so appreciate you. So let's just jump in. Time is of the essence. I'd love to just share just a quick recap of our program this week. And it has been tremendous. Wow. And we'd love to get some good energy in the chat here. And it has in our comments section, we have had a whole week of conversation, discussion, ideas, distinctions, things that we can take forward around how to own it. How to own it. I'm seeing this trend around the world of women empowered as coaches, consultants, trusted advisors, thought leaders, to step into the fullness of who you are and to be able to own your power, own your presence, profit, success, the whole thing, and essentially own your life, right? So this week was an incredible program all about that. And I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of C-Suite Networks, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. It is my joy to be here today, bringing the best of the best, sisters and brothers who are watching our broadcast. We bring the best. We bring the best ideas, the best speakers, the best community and connection to you. So we want you to come and join us. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a trusted advisor, and most importantly, I'm a ballroom dancing partner to my beloved husband, Michael, because we got to have the fullness of everything in life, right? So this week we've been celebrating International Women's Day with a whole week of programs. It's been just delicious moving into Women's History Month. So we've had a great series of programs. We're really very, very proud of what we've been doing. We've had great interaction, rich discussions, important distinctions that we know women are taking action on. So our focus has been all about power, presence, success, and profits, and really just having distinctions around what does it mean to you. So take a moment as you're watching the rebroadcast or here, just personalizing, what does all this mean to you? And we so encourage women to just take a pause, a powerful pause, and think about, what do these important things mean to you? And of course, how will you own all of these things? Take them in, personalize them, make them your own, overcome the things that are in the way, but be your most powerful self. Because we know as coaches and consultants, we need to be our best so we can empower our clients, and our clients and us, we can empower the world. So this is not a pressure conversation. It's always opportunity. And so we were so delighted to invite Sheila Anderson to come to our broadcast as our esteemed faculty speaker. She talked about presence. Oh, it was delightful. It was delicious. It was so wonderful to talk about our brand and how we can own our presence. So be sure to watch the broadcast. Sheila also had an excellent offer for our C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting clients in our council, that she will be offering 20-minute consultations, really quick consultation and counsel on things around upgrading and up-leveling our presence. So take advantage of that. We're so excited. Sheila's so generous with that. And of course, we invite you to watch our YouTube channel. We're up to, I think, 74 videos and over 50,000 clicks and downloads and views. So we know we're making a difference. And so we're so excited to bring this great information, content, ideas, all kinds of great things to up-level. You're not going to find this anywhere else, ladies, because the council here is the epicenter for all things good around coaching and consulting. So with that, I would like to just go in and also mention, so our YouTube channel is excellent. And this week, really our theme has been all about the real success in being a coach, consultant, trusted advisor, thought leader, and woman in the world. And when we feel like we empower women, we also empower men, children, families, community, and the world. So we're all about that. And we really think that the real secret here is about power together, because 1 + 1 really does mean 3. And when you get into a council of other sisters moving in the same direction, the power is exponential. So we're so thrilled about that. And with that, I am so delighted. I'm so honored to be able to introduce my dear friend and a woman whom I respect greatly. I admire and I appreciate, and I know all of you do too. It's such a privilege to have Tricia Benn be our esteemed faculty member speaker today on our Women's Coaching and Consulting Council Own It series. Tricia embodies owning it. She is recently promoted to CEO of C-Suite Network, and Tricia has a big vision, not only for C-Suite Network, but for her entire life. Tricia plays a very, very big game. And if you know her, you are inspired by her, you love her, and you just revere her as a sister in C-Suite Network and beyond. So as you know, Tricia has a very long and lovely and powerful history as a senior level executive in multiple companies in tech, in telecom, in all kinds of different areas. She brings so much richness and experience, authenticity, and real world stories to her leadership. And so we are so delighted to have our platform lifted up by our dear sister, our friend, our colleague, Tricia Benn. So with that, I will, let's open up and give Tricia a round of applause. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. The way that you elevate and create this space of excellence and sharing and learning and support and celebration is just ongoing and forever dependable strength. And so I'm just so grateful. And I know I speak on behalf of all of us that benefit from everything that you do across this community, the whole of C-Suite Network, and well beyond. So thank you so much, Kathleen. Now, I am going to share my screen, and this is a whole new tool set. So we'll see how this goes, but I think it's going to go pretty well. I've got some great coaches on my team that have helped me to make sure that I could do this well. Kathleen asked me to share on what it looks like, and I'm just going to move this one piece off of my page. There we go. Can you see, Kathleen? Are we good?
Tricia, we can so see. And you know, we pause for a minute. Look at you for leading the way on, trying new tech things and being out there on the skinny branches of life. So we so appreciate you. Thank you. And it's great. You're modeling success, which is part of owning it, isn't it? Thank you.
It really is, Kathleen. Thank you for sharing that point. Lifelong journey. How we get to the outcome sooner. Oh my goodness, that's a whole other conversation, but I'm happy to touch on that in Q&A and maybe a little throughout as well. But power, profit, and owning it. These are three concepts that I think are so important for us as leaders, us as women leaders, and certainly us as coaches, consultants, and supporters of other great leaders in our communities, including, by the way, and you mentioned this, Kathleen, your beloved, our families, our children, and the children we impact in terms of their lives and so on. It's so critically important, and it's certainly connected, and I'm really excited to be able to share on that today. So what I want to do first is I want to share my grandmother's story. Now, some of you have heard this story, and I invite you to please think about it, because this story is one of incredible empowerment, an incredible gift that my grandmother gave me. And I know that as you listen to this story, you cannot help but think, and this is Women's History Month, so let's think about women in our lives who've had an outrageous impact on us. Now, the story with my grandmother is that she told me and taught me from as long as I can remember, 4 years old, 5 years old, that a woman should always have $20 in her purse. Now, I have money in my purse always. It's not a $20 bill today, but it's nearly that much in multiples. So But a woman should always have money in her purse. And when I was a child, I wasn't allowed to eat candy. My mother was on the cutting edge of how unhealthy sugar was, really to my chagrin, because I loved candy and anything with sugar in it. So my grandmother, when she came to visit, she'd give me this $20. She told me a woman should always have, a young woman, you know, a woman should always have $20 in her purse, and she'd give me $20. Now, for my parents, that was a lot of money for them, let alone for me. And I got to take that $20, and it was this gift. I was not, my parents were not allowed to have it. And I was allowed to spend it on anything I wanted. So for me, a woman having $20 in her purse meant endless amounts of candy and things that I was not allowed to have otherwise. Amazing. Then fast forward another 20 years. Wow, this piece of knowledge became incredibly meaningful to me. And I came right back to it. And I think many of us can relate to this scenario. My grandmother said a woman should always have $20 in her pocket, in her purse, because she might need to get a taxi. That was on the list. But for a 4 or 5-year-old, what 4 or 5-year-old gets a taxi? But I'll tell you what, a 20-something-year-old who's now striving to be an executive in an agency suddenly realizes, wow, $20 because I might need a taxi is a really powerful tool. I have the independence to leave any situation I'm in, get in a taxi and be safe, right? Get somewhere else. Excuse myself from a scenario that I don't feel like being part of. I wasn't a big fan of drinking on Friday nights with work scenarios. We can put it that way. So that was another whole lesson. Fast forward again to just the last few years, and I learned more. I suddenly started putting her advice in the context of a woman who started her own business when she couldn't even apply for a credit card as independently. You know, like it suddenly dawned on me how incredibly powerful what she was saying to me, what she was sharing with me, was about our independence, our ability to do what we wanted to do, to build our success the way we wanted to build it. And so this incredible woman, who was, by the way, my best friend until she died when I was 12, gave me these learnings where she couldn't be alive in my life, but she was very much alive in terms of these lessons she shared with me and what they meant to me as I went through different stages of my life. And I really want everyone to think to, who are those 2 or 3 women in your life where you'd say they had that kind of incredible impact for you? Who are those women? And if you just write down on a piece of paper, who are those women in your life? And as you're writing those names down, obviously this is probably a list that you might want to send a note to if you can, or in honor, send it to another woman that you can extend the kind of learnings that you had from the people on your list. What a wonderful thing to do in Women's History Month. But what I think is really, really important and absolutely core, Kathleen, to what we're talking about today and this conversation you've set up for the week, is that my grandmother was incredibly imperfect. We don't have enough time to cover the ways that my grandmother was imperfect. Trust me, she was an incredibly imperfect person. And I can't help adding myself to that list. Anybody else? Right? We're all incredibly imperfect if we're telling the truth. And if we're being authentic about it, we could be very real about those imperfections, right? But here's what's most important, I think, and really critical as we talk about women and we talk about our power and we talk about profit and we talk about owning it. Being imperfect is no excuse for the idea that we don't have the power to have incredible profitability and own incredible impact in the communities we serve. And I just can't emphasize enough how important that is and what it means. So I'm going to just push us forward. To me, when Kathleen says, speak to power and what that is, what that means, I think on the opposite end of that, perfection. Drop that, exit out, cross it out, whatever you need to do. Perfection truly is the enemy of the good. It is not where we want to be. It is a fool's game, a fool's errand. There is nothing that I can think of that is good that comes from the whole notion of perfection. Now, as we move forward and we look at what else we want to talk about, profit. And I think here is another snag in the armor as we think to specifically women and the impact we want to be able to have. But I will say also and equally for our men, it's the same thing. I mean, we have different framings, different lenses, different things we're taught are socially acceptable for men and socially acceptable for women. They're equally binding in many, many ways. But when we think about profit, the other side of profit is proof. And I think all of us, if you've been engaged in the C-suite network, you've probably heard our chairman and founder, Jeffrey Hazlett, say, do you want fame or do you want fortune? I would argue that fame is really about trying to get this proof point. No, really, I deserve to have a seat at the table. No, really, really, I deserve to have a seat at the table. No, you should include me. Why haven't you included me? Hey, I'm important, right? I have this great point of view. What I'm going to say is that ends up being a fool's errand, because if you have profitability at the table, you don't need to worry about having a proof point. When you create that profitability, you create the platform and the capability to have sustainable impact. And that is critical. I don't care if you're a 5-year-old child creating your first business and seeing what that success can mean, all the way through to 105 years old. When you create profitable, sustainable, great models that deliver back to your communities, you've got your proof point. Give it up. That's not the thing to prove. The thing to prove is how you're creating profitability that will matter, that will deliver. So one of the things that another story I wanted to share, because Kathleen, I wanted to share real life experience. You know, what got me on this path of this really truly fitting authentically for me. When I started out in my career, I spent a year in data programming and statistical analytics. So people may not know this about me, but I can play in all 4 quadrants and frequently do, and I enjoy it. But after that first year, I went straight over to public affairs and political polling. And that, I joke, was right at the tail end of the Mad Men era. And anyone who was working in consulting and business at, a higher level would absolutely relate to the fact that at that point in time, if you had the numbers, if you sold the most, short of murder and mostly rape, nobody touched you, right? That was truly the rules. For me, what I understood, and I think many of us did, is, I know the game. The game is I have the most profitability. I get to do what I want, right? Nobody's going to touch it. So focus on profit. The only thing I did was I focused on profit. I had a absolutely steadfast belief, and this inspires me still to this day, that great leadership, great business creates incredible opportunity, a sense of purpose and meaning, a sense of connection and accomplishment, impact with a team. And so I set out and I built my team to do exactly that. And guess what? We were more profitable. We kept our clients longer. We could charge at higher rates. When we had the recession, my group was the only group growing 20% year over year, because we were the go-to. Our clients knew we were there for them. We were there in the challenge with them, and we would support them through their success. So that's a very practical example of how you use profit as your focal point. Proof comes with that. with your impact. So this is something that is just always at the forefront for me. How do we create sustainable business models together to create the success that we want to see, have the impact in the world we want to see? And as business leaders, we have the largest honor, we have the greatest honor to be able to create that kind of environment and that kind of impact for those who serve with us and the communities that we serve within. So this is something that I just always want to be coming back to and pointing to in terms of the success that we can have together. So what do we know? Perfection is absolutely the enemy of the good. We're going to make sure that we stay with the notion that profit is power that we get to use to great end. And when we look at what we need to do, and this is something I almost feel like a broken record, we want to own it by putting the cape on. And we've had a lot of conversation lately. I was recently speaking at an event where it really comes down to courage and leadership. Will we put the cape on and own the fact that we're going to take body blows? It is not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have scrapes and bruises. This for me, this imagery is a constant. And forgive me, if you haven't seen Holy Grail, Monty Python's Holy Grail, you may not get the reference. But this knight constantly says, it's merely a flesh wound. And he is going to battle to the end. And that's what we need to do. We know we want to create great business models with great impact. And with our success, we're going to see even more great impact, great success in our communities and the communities we serve and so on. So we're going to take some flesh wounds. Okay. We have great people at our side, supporting us at the front, at the back, and ready to go. We've got our flesh wounds. Okay. So what? Are we going to show up perfectly in every moment? Never. Please don't aim for that. Why would we want that? It is a waste of time. We're creating profitable, powerful impact. There'll be flesh wounds. Okay. We pick up, we keep moving forward. So just to wrap up this part of our conversation, and I know Kathleen will go to a few questions, but I really have to bring us back to how are we defining what success is? If we're letting others dictate that, society says, I'm supposed to have this, do this, be this. We've already failed. That is failure. Let's be clear. Not achieving what somebody else sets out for you or judges you by is already failing. Success is defining what you believe your success is, and then how you're delivering on your best power, your power of what you can bring to the table, how you're creating profitability around that and the impact it's going to have, and truly owning that, really embodying and owning what that means, what it is, and what you're set out to achieve. So my lasting question, and the one that I want to put out there truly is, how will you define your success? What is it for you so that you know you're achieving success every day and you're helping and leading and supporting everyone around you that you care about to their success? Kathleen, I'll leave it at that. I'm going to open up my screen and stop my sharing. And I'm really, I think you're on mute, but I'm really happy to answer any questions or go in any direction you want to go in.
Tricia, my goodness, that was fantastic and so inspiring. You are so inspiring in how you just really hit the mark of personally what I needed to hear in this moment. So, your message is so important. And I cannot wait to amplify your message, this message all around the world, because women and men need to hear this. Yeah. Wow.
This whole notion we've been sold, I want to just absolutely counteract it. And I think when we think to the people we love, none of them were perfect. None of them looked perfect. None of them acted perfect. None of them led a perfect life. And who would want to?
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
would want
yeah,
to? Right? We're
yeah.
perfectly imperfect. Perfect.
Right, right, right. And so many great points that you brought up, specifically one that really I felt is that as we're rising and emerging and expanding, getting out of our comfort zone, that's really the whole week of owning it, is how you brought up that, listen, attacks could be, there's just a flesh wound, things that are in the way. It's not all that important to keep marching forward, right? Keep marching forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is when someone hits a chink in your armor, right? You know it's designed to slow you down. So how do you encompass it? How do you absorb it? And for me, you know what I do is somebody tries to hit me with something, I say, that's awesome. Tell me more. Or
Ping, ping, ping. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have the intelligence, this incredible experience, this understanding to know that there's something there that could be better. How can I help you? How can I support you in making that difference? Instead of taking things in personally, how do you enable other people to own those mantles, to take those things forward, to feel proud and honored that they have that, as opposed to let me poke, Awesome. Thank you. I love pokes. It's like a massage, no, we have to let those things go and then let them lead into something great, as opposed to holding them like there's something to harm us.
Yeah. Beautiful. Let's
And
get your voice in here, Susan, please. Yeah.
and you may hear the voice of the dogs around me poking at us. The thing that I love about when you say thank you for that poke is it makes us realize sometimes we aren't connecting with the audience we think we are. And when we get poked, it reminds us maybe we're not speaking to them in the way that they hear us. And how do we need to maybe reframe a message so that they can? And I love the way you said, eliminate perfection. Yesterday at another event, the gal that spoke is somebody who has achieved great things. And she finally reached that point where, she was published at 20 when nobody in her industry was published at 20. She had succeeded in multiple businesses and realized she wasn't having a life. And she had to define her success not just by what she had done in business, but what she wanted in her personal life as well, and how she created that. And she ended up creating a tech company now. And part of what she's done is realized it's not about the likes. And so she's now written a book. She's created a whole synergy around the whole thing about it's not about the fame. So it was very much validating exactly what you were talking about. Too frequently, we're looking for that respect from others in a way that has nothing to do with what we create in terms of a successful life and a successful business that is serving others. It's not in comparison to what somebody else has done, but it is in comparison to what can we do that really creates the impact we want in life and allows us to still stand true to the values we hold true. That balancing of those two becomes the powerful component for, do I stay and do what I've been doing because it's paying me? Or do I go off and do what I know I need to do in order to be the strong individual and still serving a community leader, and not making it just about what makes me look good, but really what makes me serve others in a way that we can all feel good about.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. And so, Tricia, also, how are you owning it? All of this, your newish role, you've been living it all along, but how are you owning this new opportunity? We want to watch that and see that. What do you think?
Well, interesting. In my body and in my soul and mind, I'm owning it with even more urgency. I wouldn't have said that would be possible, but it's a no holds bar for me, really, truly. It's I have no excuses. I mean, there's not a day I don't have the mantra of no excuses. There are no excuses. And if we're being honest, I've been holding myself accountable to this ever since we had Keith Ferrazzi join us, and he has the book Leading Without Authority, and there's a great section on the excuses. And if you're honest with yourself, which I pride myself on that because it's my grounding, being honest with myself. And if we're honest with ourselves, we all have excuses. If that person wasn't doing this, if that person did that, if, there's like there are actually 6 excuses that Keith shared, but if you go through it, it's incredible where you're like, oh my goodness, and so I have this real sense of urgency that I'm owning in my body and as I said, mind, heart, soul. And that's really important because I am 1,000% committed to this community, to seeing the success of everybody who's been on this journey in C-suite. I just cannot emphasize that enough. And that's why I use that flesh wound analogy. I have an enormous network. I have millions of people who could say, Tricia, why haven't you done this? Why don't you do that? Why isn't that better? Thank you. Thank you. You've taken the time to share that with me. Fantastic. But at the end of the day, I am so committed to delivering on this and creating a space where it's really, truly celebrated. And there's massive financial benefit to being a business leader that cares about their communities, that's supporting the success of their communities. And if we can create the efficient, profitable platform, the opportunity for that efficiency in everyone's business model that wants to do great things for their teams, their company, the communities that they serve directly and indirectly, then, oh my goodness, do we change the world? And it's capturing the trends of what we're seeing. The business decision maker, there has to be a tremendous amount of trust, but it can't just be the belly to belly, business card exchange scenario, or somebody I've known for 40 years. The world is expanding so rapidly that you have to be way beyond that in terms of your reach. So that's something that I'm holding. There are other entertaining things, like people who didn't understand chief community officer meant that I was running the business. And now all of a sudden I'm, something. Okay. If it gets us faster to something good, okay, let's go. But the grounding of what it is, I'm on a really important mission, and delivering against that is just such an incredibly powerful motivator. And of course, I have a great business partner in Jeffrey Hazlett, and so there's just the excitement of, we are right at that tipping point right now. And so yeah, there are a number of different ways, but I guess I would say that urgency and the excitement to deliver are the overarching themes of that that piece.
I
Wow.
would like to ask you what you ask everyone who gets interviewed by Jeff. What can we do for you?
Oh my goodness, Susan. I always say that's the coveted question of C-Suite Network. Whoever gets to ask that question, I'm so appreciative of that, Susan. What I so love and appreciate about this community, and to have the two of you here while I share this, it's exactly what you do. You're there to support. You're there and leading great things happening. So Kathleen, you've been leading this space and creating this space, and the content and the community and the connection, and then the impact in terms of all of our businesses and so on. Susan, you've just taken on the leadership of hosting our mixers in Dallas on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. And, that's just phenomenal, to the point where, oh my goodness, I have these incredible leader, partners, sisters, family that make what we do live on wherever you are. And so I'm just incredibly grateful for that. And then the only thing I would ask beyond that is using the C-Suite platform. How do you use it to create opportunity against, our community, our content, our council, and now, of course, the commerce of our marketplace? Because it's the use of that where I really am excited about how we create opportunity that everyone's buying into. And then, of course, that, we talked about earlier in the week, we talked about user-generated content. Well, for contributors, and both of you as our faculty, our thought council leaders, and leaders in community, that creates this tremendous opportunity to be showcasing and, of course, reaching larger and larger audiences. So that content creation and helping us to help you to get that message out further is always so greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
we just experienced a moment, right? With you, Tricia, Benn. Fantastic. I mean, I'm so personally and professionally inspired by everything that you've shared. And it was so heartfelt and so real and so grounded in what we all can do and should do and will do. So thank you so much. Really great. And so as we complete our program, let me just mention some next steps, because we're all about activation here. So again, Tricia Benn, CEO, C-Suite Network, we are so grateful to you. Thank you. We know your time is incredibly valuable. And so for you to take the time to speak to us, speak to our audience, our global audience, about how to own it is so incredible. So thank you for that. And we know you're going to be a new author here very soon of another book. And so we're excited. We will promote that to the moon and back. And so with that, we'd love to have each of you, you're watching our broadcast, you're in our community, in our world. We want to invite you to join our council. We want to, and we will promote you, showcase, highlight you, and give you a platform to rise and shine. So please take the next step, have a conversation with me. I'm so easy to reach on Calendly. It's Kathleen Caldwell. Contact C-Suite Network, go to our website. We want you to join us, and we will join you. And so with that, thank you again, Tricia Benn. What a joy. Thank you. This is going to go down in history as a watchable, rewatchable, and 10-time watchable broadcast. So we thank you for that. So everyone, bye for now. Thank you.